fucking party, cabrones! No fucking around! Let's fucking party!
It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, buenos dias, good morning to you from the beautiful city of Austin, Texas. That's right, I'm in Texas right now on a prolonged business trip. Listen, man, speaking of business, let's talk about some boxing business because that's what this video pertains to. So Demetrius Andrade, you know, he's a personal favorite here on the channel. I do like Andrade. I do want to see him get a shot at the big names so he could prove what I've been saying is true all these years, that he is one of the best fighters out there, because people don't give him his credit. He really gets criticized for just being a good fighter and winning world titles in multiple weight classes. Well, that's neither here nor there. So we know that January 15th was supposed to be the purse bid for Janibek Alimkhanuly and Demetrius Andrade, because that was his next fight, his mandatory against the 11-0 Kazakhstan Olympian. You know, good fighter, a lot of experience, physically strong, can punch. You know, a lot of people are starting to get on the Janibek bandwagon that I've been on since 2018. A lot of people are starting to say that Janibek Alimkhanuly is the guy to beat Demetrius Andrade, that he is the guy to expose. I mean, and I'm talking as people that don't like Andrade or don't think he's that good. You know, people think he's the guy to expose the Andrade hype train, so to speak. So a lot of people want to see this fight, but at the same time, you know, Boo Boo Andrade's already defended the belt 5 times in the WBO. He can't get the big fights. You know, Charlo is a coward. He doesn't want to fight him. Golovkin semi-retired, waiting for the Canelo stimulus check. He doesn't want to fight him. Murata is probably going to fight Golovkin. So the champions don't want to fight him. And then after you get past the champions, they're just really on a lot of big names that are contenders. And he needs those big names. He needs those fights that are going to get people to see what people like myself have been saying for years, that he is one of the best fighters out there. And no disrespect to Janibek, because I like Janibek and I think it's a good fight and I want to see it, but Janibek is not gonna, he's not gonna get credit for beating Janibek from anybody, from very, very few people. He needs a big fight. So recently what happened was apparently, you know, Boo was trying to position himself to become Canelo's mandatory by moving up to 168 in the WBO. And that deal was on the table and they were exploring that option. But now, at the last hour before the purse bid, as Andrade and his team were exploring that option, the WBO says, no, you can't become WBO mandatory. You can't fight Zach Parker. He was trying to fight Zach Parker. Zach Parker is a WBO interim champion. He became WBO interim middleweight champion when he defeated Rohan Murdoch in March 2020. So he's been sitting there for a long time. Andrade wanted to fight Zach Parker. I talked to Paul Andrade myself on the phone, and he confirmed it to me that that's what they were trying to do. But the WBO was turning around and saying that can't happen anymore, and now he has to fight Janibek Alimkhanuly. Now, this is going to be a very important decision, because how Andrade decides to move is going to affect public perception of him moving forward. You know, a lot of people are now clamoring for this fight. A lot of people think he's going to duck Janibek Alimkhanuly and drop the belt. But, you know, let me ask you guys this question, and I want to kind of talk through this myself, because I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I would even think of this whole situation. Really, look, Zach Parker is no great fighter. I don't really think Zach Parker fights all that great, but he is WBO interim champion, and by beating him, he could position himself to become mandatory challenger for the belt at 168, and that can make a Canelo fight a lot more realistic. Now, a lot of times when I say Andrade to fight Canelo, the Canelo fans say that, well, he should drop the belt at 160 and go to 168 and to become Canelo's mandatory. Beating Zach Parker could be a step in that right direction if he does that. But now the same people that say that are going to say, well, if he drops the belt from 160 to go to 168, then he's ducking Janibek Alimkhanuly. The same Janibek Alimkhanuly that when I would make videos about him in 2018, 2021, you know, all these years, people will say, who is that guy? We don't know this guy. He's not that good. You know, Demetrius Andrade just wants to fight these European bums. when I would actually clamor for the Janibek Alimkhanuly fight, you guys were calling him a bum because you didn't know who he was. And that's what boxing fans got to stop doing. We got to stop calling fighters just because we don't know who they are, or you don't know who they are and you haven't taken the time to go look at who they are, what's their style, what can they actually do in the ring. You know, just because you haven't taken your time and done your due diligence doesn't mean you should be calling them a bum, because these fighters go through a lot. You know, they spend a lot of hours and a lot of time training and going through the hard grind of being a fighter, and for you to just say that is disrespectful to them. You can say a fighter isn't as talented as another, that's fine, but don't call them a bum. Nobody who fights for a living is a bum, in my opinion. You know, I used to, when I was in my younger days and I was ignorant, I used to say stupid shit like that, but I don't say that stuff no more, because I understand. But anyway, it's a tricky situation because the Janibek fight is a good fight, and you know, if he beats him, that'll be his 6th title defense at 160, and it will continue making him one of the longest reigning champions in the whole sport. But you know, beating Janibek, as good as Janibek is, and as good as I think he'll be in the future, as a top middleweight, right now at this juncture, with him being 11-0, not having a big profile, it does nothing for him. And for people that are saying, well, he's his mandatory challenger, well, guess what? Almost every opponent he's been fighting has been mandated by the WBO. You know, when he fought Liam Williams just last April, that was a mandatory fight. When he fought Quigley was the highest contender that would take a fight with Andrade, and he was ranked number 10 at the time Andrade fought him. You guys are always quick to point out that Andrade is boring and he's a horrible fighter and he should do this and he should do that, but he's not in that position to call shots. He's not like a Canelo or an Anthony Joshua where he can call those shots, and it's not even just him. Very few fighters are, but him more so, because these guys at middleweight don't want to fight him, so they go down the list. They find the highest ranked contender that will say yes. If nobody else says yes, then, you know, they don't get the fight. Whoever says yes, they get the fight. That's why he's getting the Williamses and the Quigleys and the Suleckis, because look, if he drops that belt, right? If he drops that belt, there's gonna be all these videos about how he ducked Janibek Alimkhanuly and whatnot, but he's just trying to get himself the biggest fights. You know, but then you guys say, oh, well, he just wants a payday. Well, guess what? Newsflash, people, this is prize fighting. Every fucking fighter wants a payday. Every fighter wants a payday. Canelo wants a payday. Canelo ain't out there fighting for Mexican charities and donating all of his purses to the top charities in Mexico and locally wherever he lives. He's fighting for money. He's fighting for, and a lot of it too. He's fighting for $30 million, $40 million, $10 million. He's fighting for big boy money. Okay, and every fighter is fighting for money. So who gives a? What does it mean when you say Andrade just wants a payday? They all want paydays. You think these guys want to get up in cold weather like we have here in Austin, Texas, and other cold cities? You think they want to get up and run and go through the pain of sparring and breaking their hands and getting punched in the face every day in sparring? You think they want to go through all that just only because they love the sport? Just only because they love boxing? Fuck no. They want to have money when they want to have money and have something for themselves when the sport is over. So every fighter should be fighting for money. You bet your damn right. You bet your ass that you be fighting for money. So with that being said, man, I know if he drops that belt, there's gonna be a lot of videos. But look, where was that same energy when Charlo turned down the fight, and when Charlo didn't want to fight Andrade? And I'm talking about Jamal. Where was that energy? How about when Munguia? You saw Munguia. Munguia has been avoiding this fight for longer than I can remember. You know, he's been mandatory for a long time, and you got his people at Golden Boy making up bullshit. Where was the energy for Munguia? Where was the energy for, you know, Canelo? You know, how come nobody in the media apart from myself has pressed Canelo like I did about the Andrade fight? You know, there hasn't been the energy for those guys. Not saying that Andrade is perfect, not saying that he's done everything right in his career, because he hasn't. That's why he's kind of in this position in the first place, because he did some bad business early in his career. But he's gotten with Eddie Hearn, and I like Eddie Hearn, but I'm gonna be real with you. I've been in his presence. I've asked him about him trying to push for a Canelo versus Andrade fight at 168. I even messaged him about it the other day on Instagram, and he saw it and didn't reply. So I really don't think there's much of an intent on Eddie Hearn's part to really do what's best for the career of Demetrius Andrade. And he, you know, yes, he's kept him active. I'll give him that much credit, but he's failed him too. So it's a tricky situation. Personally, for me, if I was Demetrius Andrade and if I was his manager, I would fight Janibek Alimkhanuly, because I think he could beat him. I think he's got a superior jab and he's faster than him, so that will give him an advantage. I think you should fight him, beat him, get your 6th title defense at 160, and really solidify your reign there, and then drop the belt and go to 160 and see what's good with Zach Parker, who is the interim champion. Because by beating him, you could thus in turn become Canelo's mandatory. And those same people that are in my comment section that say, oh, well, Andre should just drop the belt and go to 160 and become Canelo's mandatory. Well, when that day comes, because it will come, when that day comes, the minute he moves to 168, I better hear everybody and their mother that said those comments to me pushing for Andre versus Canelo. Because if not, then I don't want to hear it. But look, I'm not bothered either way. I think Janibek would be a really great fight. I think Janibek, even though he only has 11 fights, he's earned the opportunity. He's knocked out Rob Brandt, who's a former world champion. So I think that's a good feather in his cap to get the fight. And a lot of people think this would be a tough fight. I talked to Quantavious Cash, who is a fighter himself, and he sparred all kinds of world champions. And you can go check the interview on my channel. I'll leave it in the comments and in the description. He said it himself. Janibek Alimkhanuly has a great chance to beat Demetrius Andrade. So yeah, man, just we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But that's the news. The WBO is on some bullshit, straight bullshit, because they say he's not a super champion, but he's held the belt. He's made 5 defenses of the titles, so like he can't just go to 168 and become mandatory. Like, the minutia and the rules and the arbitrary ways that these sanctioning bodies follow their own rules, it makes your head spin, and it really is disgusting to see at times. But we'll see what happens. We'll definitely be following what goes on with Andrade moving forward. But that's the news. The WBO will not let him fight Zach Parker for the interim title to try to position himself to become 168 mandatory. The purse bid will continue with Janibek Alimkhanuly. The minimum bid is, I believe, $200,000, and we'll see what kind of purse bid comes through. Because from what I was hearing through, a lot of people, a couple sources I have, they were telling me that Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing, and all parties involved on that side, they don't even want to put the money for the fight. So unless Bob Arum puts up the money for this fight, I think even getting this fight done with Janibek might be more challenging and problematic than people think. But we'll see what happens. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button and surely you will not be disappointed. True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia, and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God bless.